In 1991, my husband contracted meningitis. At that time, the meningitis vaccine was only effective in adults, and he had not yet received it. He was hospitalized for about a week with a blinding headache, photosensitivity, a stiff back and neck, and nausea. After he was released from the hospital, it took about 2 months before he was fully recovered. He did not have insurance, and the company he worked for did not offer paid time off. By the time his convalescence was over, he owed thousands in medical bills. To prevent pain, suffering, and financial ruin, we choose to vaccinate our children against all preventable infectious diseases. For over half a century, the Center for Disease Control has recommended childhood vaccinations. All healthy children should be vaccinated against infectious diseases to prevent the spread of disease, disabilities resulting in complications from disease, and potentially death. According to the History of Vaccines website, inoculations were documented as early as 10th century China when smallpox scabs were pulverized and blown into the nostrils of people. The Mayo Clinic describes smallpox as a contagious, disfiguring, and often fatal disease that has affected humans for thousands of years. In 1796, Edward Jenner made a startling discovery when he noticed that milkmaids who had been infected by cowpox never contracted smallpox. Through experimentation, Jenner proved that the milder form of cowpox, and therefore safer, was an effective vaccine against smallpox. From Jenner's discovery, the interest in infectious diseases grew. Throughout the next several decades, scientists were able to isolate infectious bacterium from many diseases. Over the course of the next 50 years, vaccines were developed for many common infectious diseases, including polio, measles, mumps, tetanus, and pertussis. Due to smallpox vaccination efforts, the disease was officially declared eradicated in 1980. By the 1980-1981 school year, all 50 states required school children to provide proof of immunization before they could enter school. According to the CDC, 95% of school-aged children have been vaccinated. One might ask, what about the other 5%? While the CDC does recognize several reasons that necessitate the avoidance of childhood immunizations, such as allergies or the age of a child, most unimmunized children are the result of a strong and growing opposition to childhood immunizations. Reasons for opposition include religious, safety concerns, and eradication. Religious opposition is unfounded, as mainstream religions do not oppose vaccinations. In 1978, the first presidency stated, "We urge the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to protect their own children through immunizations. Failure to act could subject untold thousands to preventable, lifelong physical or mental impairment, including paralysis, blindness, deafness, heart damage, and mental retardation." Others oppose vaccinations due to safety concerns. In his autobiography, Benjamin Franklin wrote, "In 1736, I lost one of my sons, a fine boy of 4 years old, by the smallpox taken in the common way. I long regretted bitterly and still regret that I had not given it to him by inoculation. This I mention for the sake of the parents who omit that operation on the supposition that they should never forgive themselves if a child died under it. My example showing that the regret may be the same either way, and that therefore the safer should be chosen." Dr. Andrew Wakefield fueled safety concerns further when he released a report in 1998 linking autism to the trace amounts of mercury used in the production of the MMR vaccine. However, in 2011, it was discovered that Dr. Wakefield had falsified his study data, and due to this, his medical credentials were stripped. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and countless parents have refused vaccinations due to autism fears. Another area of opposition is that specific vaccinations can be discontinued because of eradication. The only vaccine the CDC no longer recommends is that for smallpox because it was eradicated worldwide. In 2002, the CDC declared measles eradicated in the US. However, the vaccine is still recommended because measles exists in other parts of the world. In 2014, measles reemerged in the US with over 600 cases reported. The main cause of the outbreak was decreased participation in childhood immunizations. Vaccines.gov states 5 important reasons to vaccinate your children. The first is vaccines save lives. Infectious diseases are preventable when vaccines are administered to everyone healthy enough to receive them. Second, vaccines are safe and effective. In a report titled Vaccination Mandates by Kevin Malone and Alan Hinman, serious side effects occur in only 1 in 2.5 million doses of distributed vaccine. Minor side effects such as fever, rash, and swelling can be treated with common pain and fever relieving drugs. Third, vaccines protect others from infectious diseases. By vaccinating your child, you are creating herd immunity, which protects others who cannot safely receive the immunization. In order for herd immunity to be effective, 90% of people need to be vaccinated. Fourth, as my husband discovered, vaccinations save time and money for lost work due to illness. Finally, vaccines protect future generations. Vaccines.gov states, vaccines have reduced and in some cases eliminated many diseases that killed or severely disabled people just a few generations ago. From the time Jenner discovered the link between cowpox and smallpox to the eradication of the disease, approximately 9 generations passed. How many more generations need to pass before other common infectious diseases will be considered eradicated? I'd like to conclude with a story of baby Elliot. Elliot and his family are in my ward, and several months ago he contracted pertussis from an unimmunized child who had contracted the disease. At the time, Elliot was too young to receive the pertussis vaccination, and he passed on the pertussis bacteria to his mother. Due to her compromised immune system, she almost died of pertussis. This potential tragedy could have been avoided by following the recommended vaccination schedule for healthy children. The choice is yours. However, choosing to reject vaccinations for your child has farther-reaching effects than you realize. I urge you to vaccinate your children. Vaccinations save lives, your children, your community, and throughout the world.